So I'm here with James Parker from New Hampshire, and you have a concern about something that September 11th was not the 10th anniversary only of these attacks in New York. They were the anniversary of something else. Tell me about that.
Yes, they're 1 week before September 11th, 2001, on Labor Day 2001, August 31st through September 4th. Michigan had its own little Waco, which was spurred on by the drug war. And unlike the infamous Waco incident, where the federal government was largely responsible for instigating the attack that resulted in so many deaths, this attack which resulted in 2 deaths, was spurred on by local government with heavy state government backing, and the feds brought in only as a last implement, although their interference was fatal. So that was Rainbow Farm. Getting to the siege of Rainbow Farm, which was a campground. Rainbow Farm Campground was a site for activism in favor of relegalizing cannabis in the state of Michigan for adults that were use the herb in a responsible manner. So the petitions were called the Personal Responsibility Amendments. We had petition drives. We very nearly achieved success the second time, which would have put the measure on the ballot for the voters to decide that a responsible adult could have up to 3 ounces of cannabis, marijuana, or 3 plants. This, of course, did not sit. This was 2001, and Michigan was a very staunch anti-drug state, and we are able to divine the motives of the anti-drug by the measures that they took for Rainbow Farm, the legal measures, which were to shut the campground down for tax purposes and then to seize the multi-million-dollar property. It's a money motive driven by basically the greed motive, which brings about armed robbery. In this case, the government is the armed robber. And this was clearly evidenced by the motion by the local prosecutor, Scott Teeter, to seize the property, and by the state attorney general, Jennifer Granholm, to take the property for taxes. The two, Jennifer Granholm and Scott Teeter, were frequently seen together. They were from opposite political parties, but they were very much united in trying to shut down Rainbow Farm, which they finally did very violently Labor Day of 2001. For background and detail, I will refer you to my website, and it's put up with the help of a man named Trevor Peck. So the website is called www.pecktech.com/Rainbow Farm. Rainbow Farm, all one word, lowercase, and that'll get you to the website. Material that I've put up, some of it authored by myself, others who were against the property forfeiture movement, such as FEAR, Forfeiture Endangers American Rights, Libertarian Party, State and National, I believe. Mm-hmm. I've made all these links. I wrote the last entry, something like 2003. I had filed a formal complaint with then Attorney General Jennifer Granholm, in effect asking her to investigate herself for charges of assassination, killing these people for political reasons, to silence them from getting this petition drive through. And since her office was obliged to give me some sort of answer, about 6 months later, a letter arrived in the mail saying, oh no, the killings were justified. My letter and the response letter are among the documents posted on the website. It became a rather uncomfortable subject for Jennifer Granholm. She became elected governor. I don't believe...
Because it wasn't that uncomfortable then.
It wasn't that uncomfortable for a while, but There was a backlash because the attempted sale of the property met local backlash and an outcry. Mr. Teeter wanted to attach conditions such that you basically did not have your rights as American citizens.
If you bought the property.
Your property would be subject to search. You had to have an extensive background check. It could never be used as a campground again. All these different conditions that caused a local outcry. And so I don't believe the multi-million-dollar seizure took place just because of that. But at the state level, they continued to fight all efforts to bring the documents public. Were fought by the state attorney general's office in court. There was a man named Bill McMaster of Taxpayers United who brought the suits to reveal the state police report of how the second man, Rolland Rohm, died, and his autopsy, which was very questionable because his body was found in a mutilated condition, and there needs to be an explanation for that. And these documents were not revealed when they were supposed to be. And so Mr. McMaster went to court to get them uncovered. I'm not quite sure. I don't believe they ever have been completely revealed, but I'm not quite sure. I think something more has come out in the 10 years now that has followed. But Miss Granholm, or Mrs. Granholm, or whatever she is, found that her own party had abandoned her because Michigan Normal had convincing medical marijuana patients who gave good testimony, persuasive testimony, to the Democratic Party state convention, and were overwhelmingly approved that the idea that medical marijuana should be legal in Michigan. This became a unanimously approved plank in the Democratic Party of Michigan. And when the governor was contacted about this change in her party's position, her office simply said she had no comment. But obviously this was a big blow against the drug war. The next blow came when the petition drive in 2008, spearheaded by Michigan Normal and supported by the MMP, Medical Marijuana Project, out of Washington, D.C., triumphed. Petition drive put the measure on the ballot. Michigan voters overwhelmingly approved the measure, over 63% in favor, even in the conservative rural counties that prevailed. And so this is a real triumph and vindication of what Tom and Rollie were willing to die for.
One question I have, can you think of a way, or do you think it's possible for the government to interact with the people in a way that it is kind of a win for both sides? Should they use that approach? How and can they when they're dealing with situations like this?
I would certainly hope so. And it seems to me that the real bad guy in this tale is the local prosecutor. He was willing to bend the truth and willing to resort to the most violent possible outcome in this case. He was apparently, as some of the documents I put up there show, he was very well prepared to call out every sheriff's deputy, call in the state police, armored vehicles, boats, helicopters, cordon off the area, force everybody out of their homes at gunpoint so he could have sort of a free fire zone, and which was then implemented, and nobody was allowed in to see what happened. The press wasn't allowed in. Protesters like me weren't allowed in.
Wow.
So they had it all sealed off, so whatever they wanted to happen could happen off camera.
Wow.
And that is what got people a little bit upset in the aftermath of all that.
All right. Well, thanks, James. Appreciate you drawing attention to this.
Okay. Happy to talk about it. And hopefully it's something that we can bury in the past.
Or not.
or not, depending on how things work out.
All right.